put me on hold,
Greetings,
and I'm ready to go.
greetings, and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules and Victor. On Sword and Sandal Cinema, we're speaking with Ron Carson, and he's going to take us to the land of Colossus and the Amazons. Greetings, Ron. How are you?
Good evening, Sadhguru. How are you today?
Doing well. I remember that movie. I don't remember the details of it, but I remember it was funny. That's all I remember.
Well, you know something? This is a very interesting selection because the title, Colossus and the Amazon Queen, is a sword and sandal movie that's based as a comedy, not a drama or an adventure. It's more like a, type of entertaining movie that will give you a laugh within the genre. And that's the reason why I picked it over here. And it's a very interesting person that stars in this movie that has a very big, notable showbiz following over here from many moons ago. We're talking about the veteran actor Rod Taylor, who is the star of this show.
Yeah, I just remember that I laughed a lot. It was a very amusing film. It was very unusual for sort of him up there.
Well, it just goes to show me that I'd never doubted that you didn't have a copy of this particular picture, because I'm sure there's another principal character in this movie that you're very familiar with, and this is bodybuilder Ed Fury, who portrays Glocko in this particular picture. I'm sure you've heard of Ed Fury.
Of course.
I mean, being that you have pretty much gone into the realm of bodybuilding and exercising and weight pressing, and there was a time I remember you used to bench press 300 pounds, you know?
130. That was my top.
Okay.
That was my top.
Yeah, you kind of reduced the total pounds right now, as you know what I mean. But you could still carry a mean lift of weights over here. But excuse me. The highlight of this movie is that it's a movie that Rod Taylor had a lot of say in, because he rewrote the entire script of this picture before it was actually filmed.
Wow.
And that doesn't happen all the time.
No,
you know, when an actor says to the producer or the director that I'm going to kind of put my spin into this, otherwise I'm not going to star in it at all. Now, the director is a very famous Italian gentleman by the name of Vittorio Sala, and it was produced by Paolo Maffa. So this movie was actually a 110% Italian made film. And the other irony of it all is that when it was completed in 1960, Europe and the surrounding areas got a first glance of this. But the thing is, when it came to America, it did not get released until 4 years later in 1964.
Why's that?
Well, that's, I guess, because of the fact that it gained so much popularity overseas. And the bottom line is that it was a 98-minute film over in Europe and Italy and all over the place. And then later on, it was reduced to 84 minutes when it was presented here in the United States of America in 1964. But the reason why the movie was delayed over here is because it gained so much popularity across other parts of the globe, and this is the reason why they really weren't in a hurry to bring it over to America. So this was a very big overseas hit film, yes.
Back then they used to change the name depending on where the film was shown. So I have a lot of movies under different titles where it sounds like together, but it's not. And
well, in Italian, the title is La Regina delle Amazzoni.
The Queen of the Amazon.
Queen of the Amazons. Very, very good. You're a very, very true scholar on your Italian, you know? And but the fact that this movie was actually a comedy, there's not many peplum films that actually delve into that realm. When, you know, you see the adventure and you see the fighting with the swords and you see the gladiators and the, horse and carriages like Ben-Hur doing the chariot racing and everything. I mean, most of these peplum films were based on dramatic elements, but this was a comical movie, but it was very well received, and this is the reason why it got a late start here in America than it did overseas, because it was enjoying a lot of popularity. The gross totals of this film were much better overseas than they were, you know, here in the 50 states. But it really was a hit for people. And I'm going to read you some of the other folks who were actually present and accounted for in the cast over here, besides Rod Taylor, who portrayed the title character of Piero. And, of course, your buddy Ed Fury, the bodybuilder, was Glauco. We have Dorian Gray as Antiope, Daniela Rocca, she was Melida, Gianna Maria Canale, La Regina. Alberto Farnes as Losco was a pirate, Il Pirata, as they called him in Italian. Georgia Mole, an Amazon. Folco Lulio also had that same role, too, because there were actually a total of 4 Amazons in this particular picture with Colossus. And Ignazio Leoni was Sofo, Adriana Pacchetti, Sacerdota, Paola Falci as another Amazon, and Enzo Cerusico as Menandro, and Marco Tullio as Eumeo Orta. So there you go. That's the entire cast of this particular picture.
Another Morgan Sandal film was Samson's Mighty Challenge, which started...
Well, I know you're an expert on Samson because you also portrayed him live on the stage, too, I remember.
I remember, too. It was at the Nyack Village Theater.
Yes, I wish I was there to be in the audience to cheer you on. I missed that opportunity to see you acting, you know, in that role. That would have been so cool, you know?
That was my myself. Everything I played since then has been me.
Yeah. Excuse me. So, you know, there are some external links if you want to get more in touch with this particular picture. You can go to www.imdb.com/TT0054237 and another slash. And that's in the IMDb. You'll get a lot of information on that. And it's also in La Regina delle Amazzoni, okay? That's HTTPS : 2 slashes, archive.org/details/Colossus #and #the#Amazon #Queen. So if you want to really, really delve into this particular movie, there are some places you could do some research on the World Wide Web, but better off, try to snag it off YouTube and check it. It's only an 84-minute movie, and it promises a barrel of laughs, so to speak.
Yes, it does.
But
years ago, when
go ahead.
Yahoo was the thing and MSN was the thing, I had entertainment running on MSN later on in Yahoo. And I used to have a feature called Sword and Sandal for the Soul, which looked kind of like a tongue-in-cheek look at the life lessons one can learn from peplum films. And I did one on Colossus in the Amazon. I forget what it was. I remember I liked it so much that I included it in the entertainment.
That's fantastic. I mean, really, it's just very, very well cast for a Italian-based picture. And Rod Taylor, like I said, had a lot of pull in this movie, too. I mean, we've known Rod Taylor for many accomplishments here in the United States. And he figured back in 1960 he wanted to try out a peplum film. And basically he had complete say over it because he pretty much rewrote the script. And he said to the director, to Mr. Sala, that if you want me to do this, you do it my way, or we don't do it at all, you know? And Vittorio Sala definitely complied with his wishes. So,
awesome.
But Yeah, awesome. A lot of people were very instrumental in writing the screenplay of this picture, all of an Italian nature, including Ennio de Coricini. Concini. I'm sorry. Some of the print on this copy is not as strong as it was. You know, Fulvio Fo, Augusto Prasinetti, Giorgio Mordini, Vittorio Nino, Novaris, and of course the director, Vittorio Sala, also had a say in the screenplay for this particular picture also. So he was a jack of all trades, like a lot of movie directors are in this day and age, you know? But I'm pretty sure the movie is available for purchase at Amazon or eBay or any place else. I mean, I know you have your copy of this movie. And when was the last time you saw this picture?
Years ago. There's so many Peplum movies and television shows, video games.
Oh, yeah.
So it's hard to keep track of them. And I try to rewatch things. Like now I'm thinking of watching Kevin Sorbo and Lucy Lawless, Ronald, Hercules, and Xena.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't he the one that played Hercules, Kevin Sorbo?
Hercules
I thought so.
And Lucy Lawless played Xena and Xena Warrior Princess. So I've been having again to watch those. I recently finished watching Atlantis, which had the guy who played the king in Game of Thrones. He played Hercules. So Hercules.
You know, I've never seen an episode of Game of Thrones.
No, I loved it. Athena loved it too. Watched them all.
Yeah. Do you guys have copies of this on DVD too?
Yeah. Back then, things.
The Game of Thrones.
We have the Game of Thrones. We haven't really been keeping up with the newer ones, but we have all the old ones.
But you have the older ones. Yeah, I understand. But, you know, we couldn't have picked a beautiful night for showing the theater outside the Colosseum. It's a lovely, warm May day, no humidity, temperature about 70 degrees, and we have provided our audience with free popcorn and, of course, instead of coffee, if they prefer it iced, we'll give it to them iced, but we give them a large drink in the process as well, you know?
Well, good. And
well, you know,
in Greece, in Limnos and Mudoros, when they used to bring the projectors around to the town, and they used to show the movies on the side of buildings.
Oh yeah. I remember we used to see that, you know, in the old country. We used to go to these places. They used to show them at the Leski, you know, where the soldiers usually camp out. And what they did was everybody was invited to go see a free movie, and the pictures, they wouldn't have a screen. They'd show it right there on the wall.
In the Agora, they show them on the side of some white painted buildings too. And
yes.
Magicians and strongmen and a lot of people coming through.
Oh yeah.
Times together and then give whatever you wanted to give, you could give. I don't think they charged.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a pro bono donation too. They didn't really ask for much, which was nice. You know, a couple of dollars here and there, and in American money. I mean, not parallel to the cost of a movie right now as it is, right? If you get my drift, you know, cost of a movie is just incredibly ridiculous right now. I mean, but when people went to see Colossus for the first time in 1964 here in America, they weren't paying like $15, $20 just for a seat. You know, it was a heck of a lot cheaper, you know?
I learned movies that translations are often very, very off. There was an American movie playing, and again, on the side of a building, and one of the bad guys called one of the other bad guys has some really bad profanity, really harsh profanity.
Yes.
Greek translation.
Yes.
He said "vlakas," which isn't.
He said "vlakas." Yeah, that's a translation. If people in the audience don't know what that word means, it means stupid.
Yeah, it was MFCS. That's the initials for what he called them, and it translated to "vlakas" or "you're a jerk."
Yes, exactly. But like I encourage the audience right now, for sure, go to the areas where you can purchase movies, and I'm pretty sure you would find Colossus and the Amazon Queens. And, you know, it's a very short movie. It's not even an hour and a half, and it's a peplum film that will make you laugh instead of kind of get you in a more serious nature, so to speak, you know?
Very, very cool. I plan on watching it again. Now you've awakened my nostalgia for it. I'm remembering scenes of the movie, while not remembering the whole movie yet. You know,
Yeah. Well, you know something, Hercules? I always steer back those memories for you whenever I pick a movie. You always say to me, you know, cuz I'm going to go watch this after we're done with the show and everything. And, you know, being that you're still a night owl, you can probably pop it into the DVD player and, you know, maybe you and Athena can get a chuckle out of it before you turn in tonight, you know?
maybe, or if not, we'll watch something else. But we usually watch something before bed.
Or maybe another Game of Thrones episode. I got to start getting into this because I've never actually watched one Game of Thrones episode. I'm a little.
Like a lot of long-standing series, it didn't end satisfactorily for many people. I thought it ended okay.
Oh, okay. But anyway, I'm glad I finally got a chance to come back after all these months of being preempted. I mean, you went through a political nature in your shows because you're getting involved in that scene back in Tenafly, New Jersey, which I'm very proud of you on that. And you know, and I'm glad that you're still teaching, which is nice too.
Well,
so
years, so 3 more birthdays to go. So, got to figure out what I
well,
want to.
speaking of birthdays, yours is coming up this Sunday, as a matter of fact.
Yep. And I got to figure out what to do once I reach my 70th. It's moving forever near on my horizon. So I'm making.
Well, you're not quite going to turn 70 yet, you know. So you still have a couple of more years till that happens.
So I
mean,
continue lifting weights, but not heavy weights. I'm going to lift lighter weights and work on other.
Well, that's fantastic. You know, when I talked to you the last time, and you told me you were progressing in some of your old habits over here, little by little. I mean, it's a slow but sure process, but I'm just very glad that you're actually, you know, tending to all this like you did when you were in the past, because you know, you had a couple of setbacks, but right now, when you have to get back into the realm of doing what you want to do, that couldn't be more. I couldn't be more happier, you know. So,
thank you,
but,
and that brings us to a very good place at the tail end of our conversation. How can people?
yes.
How can they reach you, and what type of things are you doing these days?
Well, these days, you know, I'm not exactly a full, you know, a full-time radio personality because of things that have changed, but I still do a Monday afternoon show up in Bennington, Vermont at WBTN, which is 1370 AM, 96.5 FM. Out of the area, you can definitely go to our website, WBTNAM.org, or you can go to your smart speaker devices and say, hey, Alexa, plug in WBTN, and you'll be able to hear myself and my on-air partner, Heather, with our magical Monday musical matinee, which is a retrospective show. We pretty much focus on number one songs on this day in certain years. Then we do a couple of doo-wop songs, and she picks a random 45 and a random album track. Then later on, we do an original and cover of a song that has the same title and the same lyrics to it. And we kind of like pick to see which one we like better. And then we focus on a lot of performers' birthdays, and we also do one-hit wonders, lost Motown hits. And, you know, yesterday we pretty much did a nice Memorial Day tribute to wrap up the show for those who gave all and made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. So it's more like an informative, retrospective show, and people call in and, you know, we take requests, or they write us on Facebook or social media, and they let us know what they want to hear. It's a really fun show for 2 hours. I mean, I'm not doing this on a regular basis like I used to, but at least the one day a week is a lot of, you know, fun and action that goes with it, and I couldn't have asked for a much more fantastic on-air partner than Heather. You know, she's just truly dynamite with a capital D. You know,
fantastic, and you're back in the Coliseum too, so we can continue there.
Yes, and we do our once a month gig at the Coliseum, And like I said, our audience has chomping on some popcorn and having a free drink and watching and laughing to Colossus and the Amazon Queens. So we're glad that we're able to get back into a nice realm, and we'll do it all over again next week. And I do believe it was always my pleasure to precede Brian Walker with his drive-in movie, and I'm sure Brian's got another fantastic selection to talk about today.
Brian is here, and I'll be letting him on in a second as soon as we wrap up. Thank you, Xavafes Agapoa. I wish you the best.
Yes.
Success in all your endeavors, and I will speak with you very soon.
Tataksanapuma, and from your audience's standpoint, a happy and blessed birthday on the final day of May, cuz. Okay, I love you.
Love you too. Take care.
Okay, here's Brian.
Greetings and salutations, Brian Walker. How are you on this fine day? Having a technological glitch. Brian is here. There he is. Greetings, Brian. How are you? Brian?
Yes, Hercules.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well tonight, Hercules. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Zoom has been very glitchy lately, so I guess we had another glitch.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully it's working.
Yes, it is. And today I'm very happy to hear that you're going to be focusing on Richard Harrison. That is awesome. We haven't done a Hercules themed episode in a while, so I'm glad that
It has been a while. And today's his birthday, as a matter of fact. He turned 91.
Happy birthday.
And he's one of the few Peplum stars who's still around, who's still, with us, fortunately. And he's had he had a very interesting career, the way it started and the way it ended up. And I thought he's a good subject for discussion tonight, I believe.
I agree with you. So his birthday is only a few days away from my birthday. I did not know that. And now I'll have to celebrate him as well as myself once a year.
I knew you were a Gemini, but what day is your birthday?
The 31st on Sunday.
Oh, wow. Last day of the month.
Yep.
Very cool. And do you mind telling?
He's 67 the way Americans reckon time, and the way Greeks reckon time on 68th year.
Ah, well, that's true. Yeah, that makes sense.
To go by the Greek way, so I'll give it 68.
Anyway, I think Richard Harrison has a varied and very long career, actually, in films. He made his last one in 2013, although I guess I want to say post 1990, he's been mostly retired from filmmaking. But he's one of the actors who was also trained as an actor too. Some of the Peplum actors fell into it by hook or by crook, and perhaps didn't have much experience or much training, but he actually did. So he's kind of the exception to the rule there, and he doesn't really fit a lot of the archetypes that, at least that I have, when it comes to the Peplum stars. But that doesn't take anything away from his Peplum films. A couple of his movies, I think, are very, very good in terms of Peplums. Medusa versus the Son of Hercules, I think, is just a terrific movie. And I was going to have that on screen, while I talked to you tonight, and the disc just wouldn't load. I don't know what happened to it. But that's not to say that Richard Harrison just did Peplum films. Actually, he did a number of different genres. He rolled with the punches like a lot of the actors did, or at least tried to. He was in Eurospy films. He did a lot of spaghetti westerns, and he had a couple of near misses when it comes to maybe breaking out of the B movie the B movie B movies that he was in or acted in, I should say, and then maybe he possibly could have gone on to something else. And like I said, he had a couple of opportunities there. Sometimes, no matter what you do in terms of opportunity, it just doesn't quite work out. But he certainly did give it a shot and has a very lengthy filmography to show for it.
Yeah, I remember that a lot of the Peplum actors that I love so much showed up in other things, like Alan Steele was in Eurospy and played Robin Hood. So he had a pretty wide variety of roles that he went into after the Peplum forced to kind of stop the movie.
Well, I watched an interview with Richard Harrison not long ago, and he was very matter of fact and very honest, I thought, when it came to discussing his acting career. And initially when he was younger and the roles were coming his way, he more or less had a selection of what he wanted to play, and then later, as he got older, he had to be less selective because he had a certain quality of life or lifestyle maybe that he wanted to uphold, and he had to keep working no matter what. And sometimes that meant that he appeared in some movies that he wasn't all that proud of. But he also wasn't ashamed of them either. It certainly didn't come across that way when he was discussing them in this interview that I saw on YouTube. And by the way, if I don't know how you feel about spaghetti westerns, but if you're interested in Richard Harrison's spaghetti westerns, you can find a pile of them on YouTube. I ran a search and I was shocked how many of them came up.
It was never one of my favorite genres. It was very similar to the samurai films in that you always had the lone hero,
True.
came in and changed the dynamics of whatever town they were moving through and what was holding it back, and usually corrupt politicians or gangs or things like that. So I used to enjoy watching the same way I enjoyed watching occasional kung fu movie. But they were fine. They just weren't something that appealed to me great.
Actually, I gotta admit, I can't say that I'm not a westerns fan because I do like a number of westerns. It's not my favorite genre. That would be horror. But I do enjoy the genre quite a bit. I need to just adjust that a little bit. Okay, that looks better. Okay, I was like looked like I was way down in my chair or something.
Yeah,
Um,
my mic doesn't adjust like yours, so I'd have to hop up and down for it.
my favorite subgenre of westerns is spaghetti western. I love spaghetti westerns a lot. They are um, hyper violent for the most part. Um, in a John Wayne movie, and I'm not to take anything away from John Wayne because he certainly advanced the genre. If not inventing it. Um, and he made the genre palatable to bigger audiences. So and early on, um, in at least in American films, westerns were mostly low budget affairs made by Poverty Row Studios because they were pretty inexpensive to shoot. You did have to shoot outside, which can be expensive. But if you have people who are actors who are experienced with horses, excuse me, um, typically they're pretty quick to shoot, and they are, a lot of them are black and white, good versus bad, and that's what a lot of Western audiences like. Um, but when I was a child growing up, the spaghetti westerns, I can remember going to see a few at the drive-in as a small child. That was toward the end of the heyday of spaghetti westerns. That would have been late '60s or early 1970s. But that's also when some of the best ones were made. Sergio Leone's name, always comes up when it comes to spaghetti westerns. And Richard Harrison had an interesting tale to tell um, about For a Few Dollars More, the Sergio Leone's first big spaghetti western. And according to him, Leone was after him, was after Richard Harrison to star in the movie. And he wasn't all that interested in doing it because it wasn't really his favorite genre. I mean, he made spaghetti westerns because he said he didn't have any choice. And that's what there was being offered. And For a Few Dollars More, it wasn't. I don't think that the paycheck was exactly what he was looking for. uh, he saw it as kind of a little picture, and he was given a few names ultimately, and the one that he thought would probably work best was Clint Eastwood, because Clint Eastwood he'd been on Rawhide. Um, he knew the genre pretty well. He knew how to handle a horse, which is very important if you're going to be in a Western film. And Richard Harrison did too, by the way. And he said he just wasn't all that interested in the film, and it took off. The Leone films are something to watch. They're very high quality compared to what we know what the budgets were, which weren't terrific, in terms of what U.S. audiences were used to, but they were shot very well, very competently. The stories were very interesting too. But there's a lot of backstory on Richard Harrison before we get to spaghetti westerns, which started popping up in the mid 1960s. He was from Salt Lake City, Utah. Made his way to Hollywood in the mid 1950s while he was still a teenager, and he wanted to be an actor. He was interested in it. He certainly had the look for it. A very handsome guy, even into his senior years. I mean, still a very handsome man. And he did some modeling. He appeared in some beefcake magazines in the 1950s, including Adonis and Physique Pictorial. He was, in great shape. Not necessarily as muscular as some of the Peplum actors, not as muscular as, let's say, Brad Harris or Steve Reeves, or certainly not Reg Park. But he was in very good shape, and was probably one of the leaner Peplum actors, at least when it comes to the protagonists in Peplum films. And he, like I said, he had some acting training, and came up through the ranks, taking bit parts in the late 1950s. His first movie, the first movie that he can be seen in is a Kim Novak movie called Gene Eagles from 1957. He would have only been maybe 21, 22 years old when he got this part, so he's still a very young man. He's in, excuse me, I'm sorry, Too Much Too Soon with Dorothy Malone, which is a real tearjerker. He's in South Pacific, where you can see him. I think he's a co-pilot in South Pacific, and there's lots of there's a lot of going on in South Pacific, quite honestly. And I can't remember seeing him in the movie, quite honestly. And I've probably seen that movie, I don't know, maybe 3, 4 times, something like that, at least in its entirety. And he kept making. He moved through the ranks. He went from bit parts to speaking parts and such. But he didn't really find a vehicle that would catapult him into stardom. But he did get hired to be in a Vincent Price movie called Master of the World, which I actually had a digest version in Super 8 millimeter, believe it or not. And Charles Bronson's also in that movie, and he was another actor who took a while to become famous. Bronson was in his 40s before he became in any kind of a big name in films, and at least Richard Harrison didn't have to wait quite that long. I don't think he had the career trajectory that Charles Bronson had. But while he was working on Master of the World, he met an extra who had a small role, and her name was Loretta Nicholson. She is the daughter of James or Jim Nicholson, one half of American International Pictures, and Master of the World is an AIP film. Uh, she was only 17 years old when they met, but they became an item pretty quickly. Got married very early on in their relationship, and they got married about 6 weeks before she turned 18 years old. Um, and they had, I think, ultimately they had 3 kids before they parted ways in the late 60s or early 1970s. But even marrying, the boss's daughter didn't do a whole lot for his career. And I'm not saying that's why he married her or anything like that, but you would think, it should help, right? You think that your father-in-law will want to help your career out. I mean, like I said, he was a trained actor, nice looking guy. You could have been a matinee idol very easily. But instead, he got, the call from Italy and started Invincible Gladiator, which came out the same year as Master of the World in 1961. And that seemed to cement his career in Italy. And he moved over there, with his new wife, and they had 3 children, in Italy, and he stayed there for more than 20 years. Now he made films in other countries as well, but for a long time, Spain, well, I'm sorry, Italy, and to a lesser degree, Spain, seemed to be his what he called home. And I think he had a very good life, in Europe while he was making movies there.
What happened to the film industry in Italy?
That's a really good question. I think a number of things happened. I think that, according to what Gordon Mitchell told me, there is, if you want to make a movie, is a ton of bureaucracy that you have to wade through. And oh God, how do I say this without being offensive? The bureaucracy really depends on who you are. I guess that might be better. Um, situation Depending on who someone is, a situation might be legal and it might not be legal for somebody else. It's, as we all know, the Italian government kind of changes with the wind. And it's very hard to get anything done there. And I think that they had, a hold on spaghetti westerns. They made some great horror films, some interesting, I'm not sure great, but interesting science fiction films as well. And I think the bureaucracy just got in the way so much that filmmakers started turning to Spain, where it was cheaper to make movies and wasn't so much red tape cut through. That's going to be my take on it, anyway.
You see, I've always wondered that, so I'm glad I asked it and you answered it.
Mm. Like I said, that's not really just my opinion. I've in talking with several other actors, while they love the country, trying to do business there can be very, very difficult. Which is sad because, I mean, it's a great country. Some of the best food in the world, comes from that part of the world. And pardon me.
I've actually been there back in the 70s, but there was in Rome. I visited that city. I went to Pompeii.
Did you backpack through Europe when you were a teenager or anything?
I did that too, but I was young. I went with my grandparents.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's a
Okay.
nice accessing the memories. Thank you.
I caught a cold a couple of weeks ago and I cannot shake it. So if I keep hacking, that's the reason why. I don't know. Every time I get a cold in the summer, it just wipes me out, and this one has been wicked. Uh, excuse me. It hasn't. It really manifested itself much as a cough. Mostly, it's just been head congestion. But oh man, it's been bad. I think I'm starting to come out of it. We went to an amusement park today, and I actually made it through the day without crashing and burning. So,
Well, I recall it's difficult to get rid of too, right? NyQuil last night. I might take too much NyQuil, but and you
well,
see,
I've been taking NyQuil as well, and it has helped. It's helped me get rest. Um,
yeah.
we were on vacation when I caught this. I think I caught it at the Magic Kingdom of all places,
Oh
uh,
wow.
and it has been, like I said, a wicked cold. I mean, I have usually, like 5 to 7 days, and I'm pretty much okay. But we were on vacation when I caught it, and I didn't have the luxury of downtime. I couldn't, sleep for a day or two, and let my body catch up because I had to keep going. And initially, I didn't know it was a cold. I thought, well, I'm just having, you
Um,
know, extreme allergies. Everything was in bloom, down there. We went to some gardens, and I thought, well, this is just, and I had trouble with seasonal allergies, so I thought, well, this is just that. And then it it kept getting worse and worse, and it was clear to me after a while that it was not just allergies.
you feel better soon.
Well, I do feel a lot better, quite honestly. And I didn't want to give it to Greg. We were traveling with another couple, at least part of the time. They both got it too, which I didn't know until after. It was like a week after, they had caught it and I had caught it. We all caught it at the same time. Why Greg didn't get it is a mystery that I don't understand. Because we were all four of us were staying in the same condo, so it was. Uh,
That's
but but thankfully he avoided it, because it has been nasty.
yeah. There are rumors of like a deadly new virus that's on cruise ships. Did you hear about that?
Well, you know what? I Cruise ships are just giant petri dishes, if you ask me. There are so many things that can go awry. Legionnaire's disease pops up time and time again on cruise ships, um, and other various and sundry maladies. I, not that I can't say that I would never get on another boat, or another cruise ship, that is, but it doesn't really appeal to me right now.
Yeah, I can understand why.
Well, and I'm not flying anywhere right now either. Well, that's a different. All the planes are smaller flying petri dishes, but I don't trust the takeoff and landing right now. I think it's very suspect. So I'm just going to stay on terra firma for a while. I haven't been in a plane now for like 6, 7, 8 years, something like that. It's been a long time. And I'm not a nervous flyer either, but I just think that there have been some changes going on with TSA and air traffic control, and I don't trust it. Maybe I saw too many disaster movies in the 70s. I don't know, but I, I don't. I think I'm going to wait for a while before I get on the plane again.
Don't blame you. Yeah, with all the stuff going on there in the aeronautics, just the flight industry. I don't know there's a lot going on there, which is a concern. So, don't blame you.
My dad used to work in air traffic control when he was, much younger. When he was very young, actually, worked in air traffic control. Anyway, going back to Richard Harrison, um, you know, uh, when Peplum Films kind of ran out of steam in 1964, he, well, had a family to support. He had a lifestyle to support, which he seemed to really like. He liked living in Italy and Spain, particularly, and one could, imagine why. I mean, he had a couple of fabulous homes and pretty decent lifestyle, and wanted to keep that going. And as he put it, he just had no choice. He had to roll with the punches and start doing, um, excuse me, Euro spy films. And he didn't do very many of those, but he did a lot of spaghetti westerns. So, and he's good in them if you watch them. And in a way, he kind of sets the tone for spaghetti westerns. At least from my viewing, with spaghetti westerns, you usually get a very handsome protagonist, um, and they usually make them look rough. They have stubble, they look. I don't say they look dirty, but they look weathered, a little worn around the edges, perhaps. But you, that look worked for him. He looked good. Um, and he wasn't just a good looking actor. I mean, he actually could act as well. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Just I'm like I said, I am on the struggle bus when it comes to this cold. It is just killing me. I saw that there was a NASCAR Kyle Busch, a NASCAR driver who passed away last week, and he was I don't follow NASCAR, but I was reading the story about him, when he passed away, and I read that this had started out with a cold, what he thought was a cold or some sort of sinus thing. And I didn't read the rest of the article right away. And I thought, oh my God, there's some cold that's killing people because it was killing me at that time. And I just thought, oh, geez. But when I went on to read, he had pneumonia, and then sepsis. But, ooh. And like I said, this one has really wiped me out. And our friends who were, like I said, traveling with us there for about a week or so, they got it, and they're having trouble shaking it too. So I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's whatever I have. And again, it's hard to shake. It hasn't been extremely bad yet. Before COVID, I had something that wouldn't go away. And I've had pneumonia before, so I know how bad pneumonia. And that worse than pneumonia, I remember. And it lasted for quite a while. I just couldn't shake it. And then I got the COVID, I believe, years ago.
I had pneumonia when I was about, I don't know, late 20s or early 30s. And I was in good health and good shape at that time. And I thought I was going to die. it took me something like 6 weeks to get through it. And it was everything that I could do to get up in the morning and go to work. I mean, it was rough. And I was off for probably a week, but then I had to go back after that, even though I didn't really feel much better. And Greg and I had to, he had to deliver, he was, he had to deliver a paper at a popular culture conference in Tallahassee. And I was right after I'd been diagnosed with pneumonia. And I had to go with it because I had plane tickets, I was scheduled to be off and everything. And that was a rough trip for me because I just felt like death. Um, but I got through it somehow. But I was a lot younger. I was half my age back then.
Mine
As
was
you
30s too, and I remember when I went to the doctor, finally the doctor asked me, how am I even standing up?
just by sheer force of will. Excuse me. uh, and oddly enough, this is better. Um, I had to drive from Florida, back here last week, and we broke it up into 2 days. But the first day was like 10 hours, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna die. But actually, didn't wasn't too bad. I was just holding the steering wheel, essentially, and just putting it on cruise control. So it wasn't that bad. I find driving more taxing now that I'm older. You have to concentrate. It's not that you're moving around or anything, but you do have to concentrate, and you're driving defensively because everybody's on their cell phone, eating a hamburger, and doing anything but paying attention to what they're doing behind the wheel. And I had to go through a few metro areas that were extremely trafficy. Excuse me.
I stopped driving years ago. So unfortunately, that burden was
When did you stop driving?
I stopped driving, oh God, I don't even remember, it was decades ago.
Hmm. So it hasn't been recently?
No, it wasn't recently. I occasionally drive. I still have a driver's license, and I do occasionally, or I did occasionally drive. I didn't drive regularly. When I was in my 30s, I drove a lot. I had a van and
Mm,
a private rehabilitation. So my clients were anywhere from like Albany down to Washington, D.C. So I could drive around a lot.
mm.
Since then, I just haven't been driving.
I have a few acquaintances who have driver's licenses, I should say, but they almost never drive.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm one of those friends.
yeah. One of my friends got his driver's license at 16 and then never drove again. Just, and I have a female friend who did the same thing. She got her driver's license and then that was it. Just, just never drove again. And I've had a couple of other acquaintances who drove for a while and then just decided not to do it for whatever reason. Um, I tend to be the driver. I tend to be the one who's behind the wheel. As I was today going to Pittsburgh and back. I don't know why but well, the other three people in my car today are uncomfortable drivers.
I use my mind sometimes to pretend I'm driving in my head, and I would not be a safe driver now. The way my vision is and the reflexes are.
True. Yeah, you need all your faculties. One thing I've noticed since my dad has gotten old is that he used to insist on driving, and now he insists on not driving, which is
When I worked in emergency rooms, so many people shouldn't have been driving if they wouldn't give it up, and they wind up in the emergency room, car accidents.
mhm. I've known a few elderly people, or I should say, not just elderly, but sometimes infirmed people, people who have illnesses and such, who probably shouldn't be on the road. But I tend to be the driver. Um, I don't get nervous behind the wheel so much, and I don't have a whole lot of road rage, especially not now that I'm old. I probably had some when I was younger, but, but my goal these days is just to get from point A to point B, and I don't want any drama, along the way. But I do tend to be the chauffeur, the driver. Now my mother, um, she's up in years as well, and she has no hesitation about driving at all. But her eyesight's still pretty good. Her reflexes are pretty good, especially for her age. And it doesn't bother her to jump in the car and drive for like 3 or 4 hours, which is good for somebody her age, I think. Now, I don't know what that drive entails. I don't know what it looks like. I'm a little scared to find out. But she gets there, and I every time I see her, I take a look at her car, and it's not banged up or anything. So I guess she's doing okay, or at least I hope she is. My Greg's mother, she drove until she was about 90, and oh, her she had a little red Ford for a while, for actually for a long time, and it looked like it had been parked in front of the Twin Towers on 9/11. It just banged up everywhere. It looked pretty bad. But she only drove locally, there toward the end, and even that we had to stop.
Should make a movie about that.
Anyway, I should get back to Richard Harrison instead of talking about all this. I don't know if how many of his films that you've seen, but I think for my money, Medusa versus the Son of Hercules is my favorite Peplum film of his.
I like that one too.
It's a creepy movie too, with I don't know what you would call them, the tree things, that you can move and.
Well, they equated with Medusa, so I guess it's Medusa.
Mhm. And those things are there are a couple of a few Peplum films that are pretty effective when it comes to weaving horror into it. And that that's one of the best. I mean, because that is scary and creepy, and so I think that was pretty well done. Giants of Rome, I think, is also a very good peplum film of Richard Harrison's. Um, excuse me. Gosh, I think this is killing me. Um, but I think all of his films are a lot of fun and watchable. Now, he's a little apologetic about some of his later his ninja movies, which you can find a lot of those on YouTube, and they're fun to watch. I've even run a couple on the Richard Harrison page, and since his birthday was today, I ran The Invincible Gladiator,
Oh, awesome.
which is a solid peplum film. He's very good in it. It's shot very well. It has a budget, and it's decent quality. It's very, especially for his first outing in a peplum film. I think it's very good.
This has nothing to do with Richard Harrison, but before I forget it, and clearly my brain's in all over the place. I'm doing a series of shows on science fiction peplum. So we're
Oh,
starting Thursday with Nick Dyack and Michelle Brittany, and we're doing the Hercules movies.
mhm.
And then I'll want to do Hercules versus the Moon Men. So I'm going to invite you to that.
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah, that's a favorite of mine. I mean, I know it's one of your favorite peplums. But it's a good movie too, Hercules versus the Moon Men. And
I role-playing games for libraries. I used to run in libraries, I run in schools.
mm,
And I took the plot from Hercules and the Moon Men and wove it into one of the stories. Of course, nobody's going to know that these are young kids. The characters of the rock people and the moon sorcerer, I guess, they survived and were recently encountered, and not yet defeated, but they will be defeated by the time the school year finishes.
that is, like I said, that's one of the better peplums. It's very engaging. It's my favorite of the Alan Steele peplum film, certainly. And I think it was probably now that I think about it, I think it was probably the first Alan Steele peplum film I ever saw. It probably, yeah, probably was. It's a very engaging movie too. I mean, it's a lot of fun to watch. I like all peplum films. Some are better than others, but there are some that really stand out. And Hercules, against or versus the Moon Men is one of them. So it's a lot of fun to watch. And The Invincible Gladiator, I think, is very good. In terms of quality peplum films. Um, you know, Richard Harrison ultimately turned down the role in A Fistful of Dollars that made Clint Eastwood kind of eventually a big A-list star. Those movies played played worldwide. It played all over, and Clint Eastwood became famous, who's also still with us. And I believe on your if I'm not mistaken, on your birthday, it's his birthday as well, I believe, and he will be 96 years old.
Look that up as well.
Well, and Richard Harrison's 91. I think that's
Fantastic.
Especially for a male. Men tend to live not as long as women, and to get to be 90, male or female, I think is astounding. Especially if you still have your faculties, if you can still think and walk and talk, and you don't have dementia or anything like that. I think it's fantastic.
And to have been a gladiator, a legend, a cowboy, a ninja,
Gunfighter, yeah, a spy.
a full and satisfying life. Well, that's the end of today's conversation. And again, I'm a little out of it today, so forgive me. And I look forward to the next one. How can people find Brian's Drive-In Theater? How can they find you? How can they interact with you? And what new projects can they do?
Well, you can find me at briansdriveintheater.com. You can also interact with me on social media, only through Facebook at the moment. And you can search for Brian's Drive-In Theater on Facebook and find me there and interact with me there. The only thing that I'm really working on right now with the website is I'm tinkering around with another. I wouldn't call it a redesign, but I would like to touch up um, some of the rougher edges of the website here and there. I'm pretty happy with the way it looks, and I'm not going to do anything globally different, with the actor pages or anything like that. I've never been very happy with the very front or index page on my website, so that's probably the thing that I'm going to work on the most. It's been hard for me to try to organize the drive-in into consumable bits that I can put on that main page. I've done what I can with it, but I'm going to give it another stab and see what I can do.
Please post the link when you're done, or please feel free to report your progress in a special update we can put together.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much. Happy Richard Harris's birthday. Happy Memorial Day. I hope you feel better quickly, and thanks for being such an awesome guest today.
Well, take care, Hercules, and I hope you do better as well.
Thank you very much. And give my love to Greg.
I will. Good night.
Bye.